Hello chaps, welcome to John Robson Guitar Tuition. I do hope you're well. Now then, today I'm going to be showing you 5 of my favourite licks, but more importantly I'm going to be telling you what they're called. Yes, that's right, I name the licks that I use. The reason I do that is because I think it makes soloing easier. I've always done it, and it did surprise me a while ago when I found out that not everyone else does this. It's one of those things where, oh, am I the only person that does this? I don't know if I am or not, but I'm going to tell you why I think it's a good idea to come up with names for your favourite licks. Imagine if you were going shopping and your shopping list consisted of those green things that grow on trees and taste good. That sliced stuff that gets used when I make a sandwich. There's that white liquid as well that I put on cereal and in my coffee. Oh, and then there's that yellow grease that kind of lives in the fridge and I spread it on toast. And then there's these orange kind of long things that are quite crunchy and they've got a green bit at the top, and if you chop them up they go nicely in a casserole. You know, how much more difficult would your shopping be if that's kind of what was on your list, rather than saying apples, bread, milk, butter and carrots? You get the idea. Anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at my 5 favourite licks and what they are called. Okay, this is the Zigzag arpeggio lick. Hopefully as we go through it you'll kind of make some sense of the name. But the one thing that should be apparent from that name is that we're using arpeggios. If you don't know what an arpeggio is, it's a chord played one note at a time. And all of the chords that I'm going to be spelling out in this lick come from the key of G major, but the overall sort of focus, the tonality of what's going on is A minor, which for those of you who have a little bit of modal knowledge will know that that is A Dorian. Okay, here's what's going on. I take the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, this A note here, and I use that as the top note of a D major arpeggio, like that. The tab's going to be coming up later and you're going to see it in close-up, so don't worry if you're not kind of seeing it clearly on the screen at the moment. Okay, so after that D major arpeggio, I move this A note up to the next note of the G major scale, A Dorian mode, whatever you want to call it, and that is now a B. I can use that B as the top note of an E minor arpeggio, like this. So putting those two together we get like that. And then the next note up from the B is this C note, 5th fret, 3rd string. That is the top note of an F sharp diminished arpeggio, which sounds like this. Like that. Okay. Take that C note, move it up to a D at the 7th fret, and I can use that as the top note of a G major arpeggio. Like that. Take the D note, move it up to the next scale note, which is the E at the 9th fret on the 3rd string, and I can use that as the top note of an A minor arpeggio. Take the E up to the next scale note, which is F sharp at the 11th fret, 3rd string. That's the top note of a B minor arpeggio. And from there on in I go to the 12th fret, 3rd string, and how I kind of round this lick off is I just play like a little C major arpeggio, like that. Actually I only go up it, I don't come down it, but basically it's the 12th fret, 3rd string, 13th fret, 2nd string, 12th fret, 1st string, onto the 15th fret on the B string, pull off to the 13th, then bend D, 15th fret, up to E. So running through that sequence of arpeggios goes like this. And that's why I call it zigzag arpeggios, because each arpeggio descends, but the overall kind of motion of the lick is ascending, so it's like you're kind of going in two different directions at once, zigzagging using arpeggios, hence zigzag arpeggios. Okay, here's the lick played slowly in close-up, and then you're going to see it and hear it with a little bit of a Dorian rock backing track. Okay, this lick is called Gina, and we'll come to the reason for that very shortly, but let's look at how it's played first of all. Once again, we're in A minor. It's going to go over that same A minor Dorian blues rock kind of backing that you heard the other lick over a moment ago. We start at the E note on the 5th fret on the 2nd string. Then we go to the D sharp note at the 8th fret on the 3rd string. So that's horrible sounding note, isn't it? In this context, but we're just using it as a passing note. It's the fabled blue note that when you add it into a minor pentatonic, it turns it into a blues scale, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, so we've got the E note, we've got the D sharp. We then pull off to the D at the 7th fret, pull off again to the C at the 5th fret on the 3rd string. So far we've got that. Hammer on to the 7th fret D on the 3rd string, pull off again to the C at the 5th fret, and then finish with the A note at the 7th fret on the 4th string. So all of that together is going to go. And this is one of those repetitive licks that you can just kind of sit on for a while and, you know, kind of go through it as many times as you want while you're kind of frantically thinking what you're going to play next. Now you will notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes in that lick, and when you practice it to a metronome, try and get it landing once per beat. You don't always have to use it that way in a solo, but it's a good way to make sure that you're getting it kind of nice and fluent. So when you're counting anything in groups of 7 per beat, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we don't do that. A drummer years ago once explained it to me that when you got to count sevens, just think of the old screen actress Gina Lola and just say her name. Can you hear that in there? Gina Lola like that. So if you just say that once per beat, then fit the notes into each syllable of that name and you're good to go. Anyway, here's the tab and the lick being demonstrated slowly, and after that you'll hear it in context in a bit of a solo. Okay, this lick goes by the name of the hippopotamus, and why that's the case will become apparent as we go through it, trust me. Let's have a look at what's going on then. As with all of these phrases, we're using the A Dorian mode, which is just the key of G major, but refocused on the A minor chord. Another way of looking at the A Dorian mode is to think of it as the A minor pentatonic. which I'm sure we're all familiar with, and just adding in a couple of extra notes. Now these extra notes are here. Basically we're looking at the 4th fret on the 3rd string and the 4th fret on the 4th string. They occur elsewhere in the scale as well, but those are the two that we're going to be using. We're going to look at this lick in the context to begin with of the 3rd and 4th strings. What we do is start with this 4th fret note on the 4th string, play that, and then do like a double hammer on to the 5th fret and 7th fret on the 4th string. So that's going to give you that. Then we simply repeat that on the 3rd string, and it might be worthwhile, just before you go any further, making sure that you can get that crossover from one string to the next happening smoothly, like this. So lots of practice at that kind of smooth transition from one string to another. Anyway, once we've got to the top end of that little 6-note run, we use a couple of pull-offs to come back down to the 4th fret on the 3rd string. So, and then back onto the 7th fret on the 4th string, and then pull off to the 5th fret on the 4th string as well. So that's going like that. Now the reason why this phrase is called the hippopotamus is because we have 10 notes in this lick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Which we're going to divide up as 2 lots of 5. So you basically want to be doing 5 notes per beat if you practice this with a metronome. And the easiest way of doing 5s per beat is just to say the word hippopotamus. So it's kind of like this. Hippopotamus, 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 hippopotamus. And you can just practice that with a metronome, see how well you can keep it going, and just gradually work the speed up. I'm only really picking in 2 places in this lick, here and here. I'm coming back down with pull-offs, then kind of a hammer on from nowhere onto that string there, and 2 pull-offs, and we get that kind of thing going on. And you can either keep that going as like a static lick, where you just kind of park yourself on that, playing a repetitive phrase like that until you're ready to move on, until you've thought of what you're going to play next. Or you can do this other variation I'm going to show you now, which is where I turn that into a run. What I'm going to do is take this phrase that we've looked at here and move it down an octave, so it's now here, starting on the F sharp note, 2nd fret, 6th string. And this, exactly the same shape works there. So let's do it here. There it is. Then I'm going to put a little variation where I kind of just do that. Okay, so it's, and then I move it up an octave to where we originally started. Like that. And then I move it up an octave again. This would be starting at the 7th fret on the 2nd string. And then usually I kind of round it off with a bend, like that. So stringing all that together, we get and then finish it off with that top end D to E bend like that. And you can create a really speedy kind of run out of this that just flies up the neck. When you're practicing this, don't concentrate on the speed though. Concentrate on getting it fluent, and especially those transitions from one string to another and from one cycle of the lick in kind of one octave to the next octave, say from there to there. Work on getting those nice and kind of tight and smooth, those transitions, and the speed will take care of itself. Okay, here it is in close-up with a little bit of tab, and then you're going to see it and hear it played up at full speed over that backing track we've been using. Right, this lick is called Rolling the Dice, and it's a bit of a tenuous name for this one. The only reason why it's called that is because the kind of motion of me hand on the neck while I'm playing it kind of feels a bit like rolling the dice. Yes, I know what you're thinking, get your mind out of the gutter. It does look like something else, but we're not going to call it after that, okay? Anyway, here's the lick. Basically, it's a blues scale stroke Dorian mode kind of thing. You'll see what notes are being used as I go through the lick. Suffice to say that if modes aren't your bag, then you can use this lick in a blues context. That's really all you need to know. Anyway, we start at the D note on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and we do like a little kind of chromatic hammer-on sequence that takes us up to the 7th fret like this. There we go. Repeat that on the next string. So you get... Then we go on to the 3rd string, 5th fret, hammer on to the 7th fret, and then slide up to the 8th and back down again to the 7th, and then pull off to the 5th. So that's going to go... So putting that all together we get... See what I mean? This kind of rolling the dice kind of motion. Stop it. Anyway, after we've done, we're back onto the 7th fret on the D string, back to the 5th fret on the G string, then this little move here, which we've all played 1,000 times. Everybody from Metallica to Chuck Berry have used this one. So... Okay, then we enter into the slightly Dorian mode section of it with this sequence of pull-offs from the 8th fret on the B string to the 7th to the 5th, and then hammer on back to the 7th, pull off back to the 5th. So that's so far we've got that. Then we're back onto the 7th fret on the 3rd string, back to the 5th fret on the 2nd string, so that's going like that, and we continue then up with a series of hammer-ons, so that's that kind of 5, 7, 8 E, F sharp, G sequence of hammer-ons, which takes us to this top A note on the 1st string, which we then bend up to on the 2nd string, 8th fret to 10th fret bend. So the whole lick goes like this. Here it is again with the tab, and then you're going to see it and hear it in context with a little bit of a backing track behind it. Okay, this lick is called the slalom, the scale slalom in fact, and you can do this with any scale. As I've mentioned already, here I'm using the A Dorian mode, which is essentially the G major scale. It starts here at the 12th fret on the top E string, and we do a series of hammer-ons that take us up to the 15th fret. So that's 12, hammer on to 14, 15, like that. We then come on to the second string, the B string, and go 12, 13, 15. So we're getting that kind of thing. Then we move down to the 10th fret on the B string and go 10, 12, 13. And here's where the whole kind of slalom idea comes from. As you can see, we're kind of descending like that, and we're kind of going side to side. That's essentially what a skier does as they're coming down a hill doing a slalom. So there it is again, 12, 14, 15 on the top E string, 12, 13, 15 on the B string, 10, 12, 13 on the B string, then we move on to the third string and it goes 9, 11, 12, then onto the D string and it goes 9, 10, 12, then we go down again, see we're going descending and going side to side, and it goes 7, 9, 10, then onto the A string and it does that 7, 9, 10 thing again. So far we've got and it finishes when we take this G note here, the 10th fret that we've just hammered onto as this kind of little sequence of hammer-ons. We slide that up to the 12th fret, so that whole sequence on that string goes like that. 10th fret on the D string, back to the 12th fret on the A string, and just almost like a full stop at the end of the sentence, that little 14th fret A note there on the third string. So here's the whole thing. And here it is, tabbed out, close up, and then you're going to see and hear it over that backing track. So there you have it, my 5 favourite licks and what they are called. Now as you can see, the names don't have to really make much sense as long as they make sense to you. Also, you don't have to have a different name for each specific lick. As you probably gathered as we were going through these, I have a name for each particular type of lick, the thing that makes each lick tick, if you like. And yeah, there you go. I hope you found this useful. I hope you've maybe gained a couple of new phrases and perhaps a new way of indexing the phrases that you use when you're improvising. I genuinely find that this method of naming things allows me to think a couple of moves ahead when I'm soloing. You know, I might think zigzag arpeggios followed by roll the dice, followed by, you know, whatever else. And yeah, it works for me. Hopefully it'll work for you too. And if you would like some tailored one-to-one guitar tuition, then don't hesitate to get in touch. You'll find the contact details at the end of this video. I do lessons in person if you live on Teesside, and I also do lessons via Skype wherever you live in the world. I'll also just take this opportunity to give a little bit of a plug for both of my albums that are currently available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, all the usual places. The latest one is called Handles for Folks, and the one that I released earlier this year is called The Whiskey Made Me Do It. They are both full of shreddy, melodic, bluesy rock guitar playing. If you're a fan of Joe Bonamassa, Gary Moore, Eric Johnson, Guthrie Govan, any of that sort of stuff, then check these albums out. You will enjoy them, I promise you. You can get them from my website, where you can also listen to them there, preview them, and again, the link will be in the description below. And with that, I will leave you for now and wish you all a good day and see you next time. Bye for now, folks.